Something that's not very much talked about is why the narcissist cannot accept that you move on after the breakup. If you're okay having them absent from your life, if you're okay making new plans, setting new ambitions, and being happy without them, then the narcissist fears that they might have lost a good thing. The narcissist fears that you might actually end up having it better than them. The narcissist fears that they may have lost. And for them, that's unacceptable. For the narcissist, losing is unacceptable. Not being above you is unacceptable. Not feeling that you are constantly wanting them back and trying to get them back is unacceptable. It hurts their ego. It goes against their competitive nature of always having to be one above you. It's one of those things they can't process. And the only way narcissists can somewhat process the fact that someone's doing better than them is if they somehow tell themselves a fake story, which they try to believe, which is you're not actually doing better than them, that you're not actually okay. In other words, narcissists try to deceive themselves and making themselves believe that you're not doing well even when you are, that you want them back even when you don't, that you'll be back one day begging for them to return even though you probably won't. So narcissists, they have to resort to this self-deceiving tendency when things aren't going their way, because the alternative is for them to accept truth. And truth hurts them too much for them to bear. Their whole disorder is around not accepting truth, not accepting accountability, not accepting their own shortcomings. But narcissists, even though they sometimes have to resort to this self-deception and trying to tell themselves a fake story that makes them feel better about themselves, even though it's fake, they still can't 100% convince themselves that their story is true. They still can't 100% believe and feel that it's the right position. And that's why they don't want you to move on. They don't want to see evidence that you're moving on. They don't want to feel that you're moving on. They don't want to sense that maybe this time your absence is forever. And that's why they have this tendency to check up on you. Sometimes from close by, sometimes from afar. Sometimes they'll heat check you. They'll reach out to you, see how you respond. They'll throw in some bait to see if they can get some evidence on where they stand with you. And sometimes they might outright try to bring you back into their orbit, try to rekindle the relationship you once had. And oftentimes that comes with all kinds of fake promises of how this time it's going to be different. This time, they're not just going to be nice for a day or two. They're actually going to be nice forever. This time, they'll try to convince you they've changed, even though we know they're unable to change. So it's important for you to understand their nature. It's important for you to understand the certain truths that they cannot really accept, and why you moving on hurts them. Because when they see the truth of you moving on, it hurts too much for them to accept. And if they have to accept that truth as a raw truth, they'll usually try to do something about it. For example, they might try to bring you back to the orbit or take you down. Or, like I said earlier, they might try to deceive themselves and making themselves believe that you don't have it as good as you actually do. That maybe you're not in a better position than they are now. But that self-deception, it doesn't really go very far, because as soon as they stop recounting that fake narrative, it's almost like the truth dawns on them and they're always running from the truth, which can be very exhausting for them. And of course, sometimes they'll go on to other distractions, but those don't tend to be long-lived either. So just be aware that you moving on, you being okay without them, you being okay with everything else but them, it injures them tremendously. And it often causes them to want to take you back down or to bring you back into their orbit so that they can then take you back down, or they go into this mindset of self-deception where they try to tell themselves that reality is something different from what it actually is. But that's not a permanent solution. That's like a temporary solution. And that's why people sometimes say they can feel the narcissist's energy. They can feel the narcissist thinking about them. They can feel the narcissist maybe planning a comeback of sorts. Because a lot of times, you're probably right. Because that deep part of you, that core part of you, you know who you're dealing with. You know the kind of person they are. You have a gut feel for what goes through their mind. You have a gut feel for what they think about. And sometimes you think you might be going crazy, but probably you're not. You're probably seeing things for just how they are. Thanks for watching.